All right, dude, this is pretty sweet. Live in the parking lot. You're here with Dave Grindle, known by many names, I would say, probably across the internet, social media. But wherever you find me, I'm trying to talk about some real issues, and there's, I would say, probably not enough people who are willing to have these conversations. And as the title that I claim as one of many, the Duke of YouTube, the King of Millennials, I really think that this group, who consists of so many in the world as far as age bracket, exposure to social variety, many walks of life, many opinions, we follow in the footsteps of many generations who have really sought to be the ones who figured out all the world's problems. And it seems like, in retrospect, we just kept doing it wrong over and over and over again as a species. And to me, I think people find cause for difference, cause for anger, frustration, hatred, dislike, and general chaos. It's unacceptable to a very far degree to me that there is still war in this year of our calendars. Our calendars, dude. We disagreed down to the core on the history of the world, our origins. How can that be a problem? The fact that it is a mystery, even when you are born and baptized and led down the path of whatever cultural, ethnic, religious, or national point of origin that you have sprung from, there is some aspect, and at some time of you, in you, that grasped onto that identity. Excuse me, I keep coughing. That's going to keep happening, but whatever, dude. Let's just deal with that and get past it together, bro. And that's the spirit of this podcast, man. It's the reason why it's getting started. Thank you to everybody who's given me any kind of positive feedback on the discussions I've begun to have openly on Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, reaching out to other like-minded people where, we can talk about the political aspect of being a progressive. But when it comes to the human aspect of being a progressive, it's a lot less complicated than it is when it's discussed in the political realm. How many people are listening to this right now that would agree with me that providing medical care for people is a priority? You can only experience the wonders of existence when you're free physically to go and exist. Now, I don't mean that in the sense of totality, because I look at the human encapsule that consists of physical life around this very aware, very rolling camera sense it is to see and hear and feel and interpret all the things around us. And I think when you argue for the soul, that's what you're arguing for. When you argue for life, you do, to a degree, understand the complicated nature and very tangible feeling of being alive, of experiencing through sense the things around you. I don't shy away from open disagreement and even frustration, anger, and admittedly hatred towards those who would take away life from other people. Now, what's interesting is the people that have screws loose are not the problem. I mean, there have been murderers, rapists, brigands, raiders, pirates, bandits, highwaymen, throughout all of our recorded history. There have been bad guys since the dawn of time. Now, we definitely wonder as to what came before man and woman, humankind as we know them today. You can look back at records, and I never put much stock in either scientific or heritage-based understandings of telling time. Now, if you say to me, look, science and math is how we understand the different threads in the fabric of existence. Math makes sense to me because you're basing it on something real. If you sit down, our translation of the understanding of that aspect of the universe, like, okay, if I sit here on the ground and I have no rocks sitting in front of me, but then somebody comes and puts one rock, I understand that there's a rock there. And the numbers and our way of understanding numbers and counting is just our way of breaking down the existence of stuff, the existence of things. And that's a much more simple concept. And from that spirals out a complete understanding in looking at something objectively and looking at something abstractly. And when you do such, you truly begin to break out of your little box that you live in. And I say that box is little for every human being at the beginning. Unless you're somehow a special case. You know, it starts in the basics. And that's why certain people understand mathematics, or language, or culture, or art, or science, or theology. People only learn, they compile from the facts, and if you and I recognize something different as fact, if you say the ground in front of me is comprised in a 10 square meter zone more of rock than it is of dirt, if I just say, okay, cool, because I don't care, then that's one result of an interaction. If you say the ground in front of me in a 10 square meter area is black, and I look at it, and it's red, I can disagree. Again, I can go with having not cared, but if I act and disagree, then we have had that exchange, and there's a reason why you say it's black. Either it's black and something's wrong with my physical perception of it, or you're fucking with me. And I don't know how many people like being fucked with, but there are times when you do that with your associates in life, at whatever level of relationship, and it doesn't matter. But then if you say, I know the answer to all of the questions one could have about our past, our origin, I know why things have to be done, what has to be done, more importantly, and I have the backing and the knowledge because of my core gut feeling that this is the way it's supposed to be and this is the way it is. And if I say I agree with absolutely none of that, and you are trying to tell me that based off how you feel, my existence has to be either limited, affected, unaffected, or drastically changed by your opinion, and the opinion of those who happen to agree with you, no less. Now, if there's 10 to 20 or 30 of you, and we're in a population of 31, I kind of am like, well, what's the concept that I'm supposed to follow? You explain it to me, and I'm like, well, that means I have to change several things about myself to fit in with that structure. And the response is, well, there's 30 of us and one of you. You can get in that raft, and you can make for the next island. And due to our difference in understanding of the universe, your concept of the universe should help find a way to feed you and keep you alive on that journey, because it's 2 weeks. And I'm damn sure not going to give you any food or any water or any resources to help you. You know what? If I'm not a dick, I won't interfere with it. But what would be much easier than letting you pursue your goals in blatant violation of how I feel? Then how about the 30 of us just sort of tie you to a rock and throw you in the shallows? Or how about we cut you, put you on this little raft, and just push you out to sea? Or we could just fucking kill you right here in whatever way is fitting. But it's funny that I'm not making that up. You know, that is a general understanding of what has happened through so many generations of human beings' existence. I would really hate to meet any of the prior incarnations of human beings going back in chunks by 100 years, let alone 1,000 years. Now, I personally prescribe to an understanding of our origin that, let's put it this way, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if, extraterrestrial ships started landing all over the planet and human beings came walking out of them and they were like, you guys are supposed to be mining us gold and cutting out your hearts. I don't understand what was so hard to understand about that. We need sacrifice to keep our shit going up here. And you'd kind of forced to be like, well, you don't look at all like Ted Nugent. And I was led to understand that the Lord God is the only one that can command me. And he's like, oh no, man, I'm well aware of our Lord and Savior. I actually know him, or knew him, 2,000 years ago when our highly advanced fucking civilization visited your planet and, for thousands of years sort of were identified as gods because we were running around doing stuff that human beings couldn't. And there's a reason why so many cultures, so many groups of people over such a span of time have chosen to weave such masterful tales of what was going on around them. And much like we do today, if for whatever reason mankind helped itself perish, the little bit of survival that would happen would pass along with it a knowledge of the past in where mighty men controlled the fate of an entire living, breathing, growing world. And mankind all across it lived in various forms of belief, and we all had certain gods. And we all rallied behind those gods, and we told the stories of the epic feats of those gods. Some of those gods were among the humans. They did shit to and with human beings, guided their fates as collectives, led whole populations to either die or thrive at different times, and the relationship of these gods and the attitude of these gods were very much human. Very much human. The feeling of human, understandable, tangible emotion, responses based off anger, fear, lust, greed, and pure pettiness, that some gods were said in many cultures to essentially be trickster gods, gods who sow discord, gods who split people up, gods of war, all of these very destructive things. And the reason why they're so mighty and renowned is because those effects played out on human beings. Those effects played out in your cultural group at some point. Now, I find the talk and the understanding and the traditional intellectual pass downs from so many millennia of generations of human beings is a great credit to our collective consciousness. I think that those cultures who either focused on or had individual human beings, single human beings, throughout the course of the birth and death of over 108 billion total accounted lives and projected lives, which, how many of those died before they were 20? That sort of expansion of the human longevity throughout so many years. And now we live in an age of technological connectivity, mutual sharing of opinion, and so many places around the world still restricted. And to me, it's like, okay, my discussion on, about, and with the government and federal departments of the United States of America, I have worked as a United States Navy sailor, active duty, in the surface fleet, air warfare radar, almost 7 years. Got out because I was fat, you know? And so many of those years traveling Southeast Asia, visiting Africa, the Middle East, you know, so many of the Australia, Singapore, fucking Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, Djibouti, Oman, fucking Bahrain. Wait, there's way more than that, though. Maybe. Alright, we'll get back to that. Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong. Each of these places housing human beings remarkably similar in existential construct to myself. And let me back that up and just say, these are other living, breathing, feeling human beings. And I was very aware of that. That they too had 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, question mark, age. Those years of every day living, and in many cases surviving, but in many cases living, growing through experience, making memories, and constructing data based off your senses, the way you interact with the world around you and the people in it. That all collects into me now as a 27-year-old with 2 stepdaughters, a beautiful fiance, a son who is a week away at most from being born, my family who's visiting from Pennsylvania, myself living in Florida, a whole bunch of new chapters for me, but this also has to be a part of it. And I think that we all find ourselves in this situation where at one point in your life, you find yourself either making or listening to a podcast like this, in a time where all across the world there is confusion, anger, fear, distrust, so much difference, so much separation. And really, like, it is remarkable how simple it takes. Wow, how simply it is. Excuse me. We'll get used to that in the middle of a dramatic moment, but how easy it'll be if we just talk this shit out. If we just have these conversations, you and I, all of us together, that we can make sense of issues that are supposed to be very complicated. And I wouldn't be surprised if now, in one of the greatest upswing periods of my life, my existence so far, mentally, spiritually, well, I am still fat, but physically and in motivation and devotion, that we are teetering as a collective on some very real collapse. And I don't take it lightly that there is so much out there in the consciousness, in our collective feeling that is the end of the world near. How many people drank on the night in December, what was it, December 20-something, 21st, 2012, 23rd, 26th, something like that. So I remember drinking with 2 of my best friends in the entire world in my mom's basement, home on leave, for fucking Christmas. And I was saying to them, if there is a whole bunch of craziness and tragedy, just know that I love you guys. Fucking great experience. So many good years. You know, I hope it's not too cataclysmic and fucking crazy and horrifying. If it is going down within the hour, and fuck it, man. Because I thought to myself, you know what, dude, you know what's cool? Is that I bet you there's a lot of people doing the same thing. Because you just kind of that shit, if the world starts quaking and heaving, or angels come down from the sky, or the sky fills with nuclear fire, or the planet Mars is crashing towards us and all you see is its redness in the horizon before you're disintegrated, just hope that it's something very immediate and relatively painless that kills you. Hey, a nuclear blast like 15 feet away, best deal you could get. It's over, man. And I don't know if you'll be like a nuclear ghost floating around in the aftermath of that, but could be worse. I mean, you're not in a fire pit. I feel like somebody made that up. I feel like I did at least 6 months of research on my first deployment. And at that time, realized that the origins of what hell is supposed to be is based off of a Jewish pit of trash burning forever. And I was like, oh, all right, well, you got away with a lot of people being afraid of something you kind of doctored up. And was like, all right, well, shit, that's how it is, I guess. guess I'm not afraid of that. Like, I was born and raised Catholic, and I really do appreciate, which any smart person should that has disagreements with religion. But the fact that there are very good, kind, and deserving, devout, pious people in the world. And the fact that they all come from different religions doesn't bother them when it comes to one another. They are full of respect and thankfulness in their own life, that it doesn't matter what other people are doing, else they are taking time to help bring someone else to what has given their life so much good. Now, there are also people who will take incredible advantage of the need people have for inner peace, and will lie to them, and will take from them, and sort of will warp them a little bit. And that's how people end up committing violence, taking lives, disregarding their own earthly life, disregarding the life you have, that you're experiencing right now, with the hopes that there is one just like it, but better after that. And how crazy would it be to find out that that was true, based on what you know and experience in your everyday life? Doesn't it kind of seem like life is just sort of what you make it, and what's affected the next time that you can? Saying that what you take away from some biblical references is that if you keep homosexual people, human beings attracted to their own sex, other human beings, like men attracted to men, women attracted to women, want to share their personalities, their existence with one another. They want to have a physical relationship with one another, a spiritual, romantic relationship with someone else, in the exact same mental, emotional way that people of different sexes feel in a relationship. And do you think that is going to appease the creator of the universe, the creator of those other people as well? That sounds real human to me. And I think for so many years, I've been accepting that our religions are real, and they are based off of real experiences from our history, from our making. Why do we choose to ruin each other's lives, to take each other's lives? I think, to me, it is folly to do this. And I will, even if it's just these conversations, which from now on, this would serve as an introduction, I believe. Again, if you didn't hear me the first time, my name's Dave Grindal on YouTube, of a Mad Panda on Twitter, Diary of a Mad Panda on Steam, just Dave Grindal on Facebook, if that's cool. Want to hit me up there? I mean, we'll have these conversations, but I think from now on, this thing's giving me 30 minutes at a time, and I think those 30 minutes are going to be spent on one topic. And I think in 30 minutes, between you and I, we can solve how you can fix any problem in the world in 5 minutes. And I think I did an okay job, conceptually. But I say we take 30 minutes and we can flesh out anything. How do people of different religions get along with each other? How to sort of reset the clock when it comes to the concept of finances for everyone, all across the world. And, the reason why some of these things don't happen, and I think a good topic would really be what things a government should truly have as a responsibility. If there's dramatic pauses, right? So, yeah, I think that'll be topic number 1. What things should a government be responsible for in relation to its population? And if there's anybody who disagrees with me on these, after 30 minutes of cognitive thought on the subject, hash it out, and you help me figure it out. But then we'll get these answers to somebody who can do some shit about it. I mean, that sounds good to me. This is Dave. It's been 27 minutes, 30-some seconds. Check me out elsewhere, dude. I'm glad if you hung around this long. But let's do some shit together, you and I. How about that?